na frente, USA atrás. Roll the cameras, hit the mat, hola! We came down with a ring light and a hashtag in our hand. 30 filters on the footwork, 0 feet upon the sand. Brazil heard the whistle and the whole arena swayed. We were queuing up a reel while they were getting paid. Samba não, samba sim, Brazil dances, USA spin. Roundhouse, axe kick, hip shake too. Sorry, not sorry, from the warehouse. 15 crew, ole, ole. The medals took a cab down to Rio, up the podium, past our content lab. Samba no, samba sing. The scoreboard sings the blues. Sorry, not sorry, from the warehouse. 15 crew. We had a viral entrance, we had a matching fit. Brazil had a back kick and our captain took the hit. We posted blessed and grateful with the sunset and a heart. They posted up a clean sweep right from the very start. Samba não, samba sim, Brazil dances, USA spin. Pandeiro, cuica, a kick or two. Sorry, not sorry, from the warehouse. 15 crew, ole, ole. The bronze went down to Bahia. Silver caught a flight to São Paulo with a smile. Samba não, samba sim. Our coach reviews the news. Sorry, not sorry, from the warehouse. 15 crew. Coach, where's the strategy? Boss, it's pinned to the profile. And the medals? Brazil, Brazil, Brazil. The scoreboard did the samba and it didn't miss a beat. Verde Amarelo dancing all around our weary feet. We'll let it up a month, I set it to a trending tune. Brazil let it up a highlight reel and win again in June. Samba no, samba sim, Brazil dances, USA spin. Caipirinha, dog bark and a bruise or two. Sorry, not sorry, from the warehouse. 15 crew, ole, ole. The algorithm wept while Brazil collected hardware and the USA's left. Samba no, samba sim. We tagged the loss as views. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. From the warehouse, 15 crew.
Abrigado, you are here with the Brazilian brothers of the Warehouse 15. We are back in black. Well, some of us blacker than others, and some of us lighter than others, and some of us mocha. Welcome, my brothers.
mocha, right?
Sorry, not
I
sorry.
gotta be the
Ooh,
mocha
you
one.
look good.
Back in the berry,
Mocha.
sweet of the juice.
Sweet. That's
Hey.
what they say. That's what they say. When
Hey.
you go Puerto Rican, you don't go back. How we doing? Who's up? Who's first today?
Go ahead there.
What's up? What's up?
Host.
What's up? What's up? No, I'm still out here in Brazil. Actually, we finished the Pan Am Championships and I had the Cadet Open and Under 21 Open. I had a couple decent results in that, so I had some fun getting some matches out here. I'm here at Diego School for a couple days with a few of my guys and some other peak guys, just taking in the sights and learning some new stuff and getting some work in. His facilities is beautiful. It's almost like the dream. He's got the physio rooms, he's got the rest rooms, pretty cool place, big open building. So I'm excited to get through the rest of the week. I'll be here until about Wednesday or Thursday, and then get back to North Kakalaki where the people are missing me. With the way you say, the toothless
Yeah.
people are missing me, even though everybody got their teeth. But miss home, ready to get back home too. What's up with you, Coach Moreno? I know you was out here with me
Man,
recently.
listen, I stayed, we'll talk about the Pan Ams. I stayed for the junior cadets. We'll talk about that. I came home Saturday night. I got home Sunday morning. I was home in time for Mother's Day, spent the nice morning with my family, having brunch and then hanging out at the pool, getting sunburnt like a mofo. But yeah, everything was good and happy to be back home. Actually, I'm home for a while, so just got some time to relax and be with my home kids and yeah, get right back to the grind. But I want to talk about the Pan Am Championships because it was bam blowout. It was like the Knicks blowing out the 76ers. Nah, it was like that. But result wise, obviously we had talked, TJ and Grandmaster, Perez, we talked about this event, like what it was going to look like. And I was, I really didn't know, but when I sat back and thought about it Saturday night, I'm like, all the teams were there with their big guns. All their teams were there with their national teams, whether it's Canada, USA, Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, blah, 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 blah. Go down the list. Ecuador, Peru. Everybody was there, like you mentioned, TJ. It was their moment. It was their moment to kind of shine. And, that kind of put again, when I sat back and thought about it, that's a certain amount of pressure on Brazil, right? Because everyone's taking shots at the leaders of the pack. You can say whatever you want, but it's in our home country. It's, there's a lot of, good things that have been happening in Brazil for the Brazilian team. So everyone's taking their shot. And dude, we took it like a champ, came out with 8 gold medals, 50% of the gold medals, 5 silver medals, a bunch of bronze. It's pretty crazy, pretty crazy. So, we had a lot of heads up matches with the United States and Canada and Brazil, and I'm sorry, United States, Canada, and Mexico, and by and large, we came out on top pretty well. I think the U.S. had 2 men gold medals and 1 woman gold medal, which it could be a drop from their last time, but some of
Yeah,
their big guns.
they took negative 87 and plus 87, I believe.
Yeah,
For
yes,
me, two wishy-washy divisions. I mean, the heavyweight final was 0-0 first round and 0-0 second round. You would have loved that fight, Grandmaster. It was the most exciting thing I've ever watched in my entire life. The most tactical 0-0 match I've ever seen in my entire life for a final at the Pan Am Championships. I mean, I can't fathom how we end that final 0-0 and 0-0. I don't know. It's unbearable. And in the 87 division, um, it was good. What's his name? Isaiah Young ended up winning the division. I don't think there was too many big names in there. He fought Canada in the finals. I'm not sure what else. I know one of the Brazil boys actually got hurt in an earlier match. Um,
yeah,
yeah, those were the 2 gold medals that the USA got for the men's side. For
but
well, I
I
Who
mean,
can't.
did who
listen,
did they
Yeah,
get gold medals for on the men's side?
middle and
87
heavyweight.
plus 87, middle heavyweight. Yeah,
Who was it? Who was it?
Isaiah Young and then Jonathan Healy.
Oh, Jonathan Healy. Oh, okay, good for
Yeah.
him.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I mean, on the men's side, like Brazil, they took the 54. They took the 58. They had 2 Brazilians in the finals. They took the 63. They had 2 Brazilians in the finals. They took the no 68. We lost the final to Chile, and 74 we had 2 Brazilians in the final, and 80, Henrique beat CJ again, and like you said, 87 and plus 87 went to the United States. So that was pretty much a wrap on the men's side, especially when we had 3 divisions that had both Brazilians in the finals. So one's getting gold, and the other one's getting a silver. So
When
obviously
it
that's a
when it
wrap.
when is he moving?
I'm sorry,
When is he moving? When is
who?
CJ?
Where's he moving?
He doesn't
Movie.
follow the Champions Code.
What's that? I don't even want to know.
You don't know the Champions Code?
No,
So
tell
if
me.
I lose to somebody once, that might be a mistake. I lose to somebody twice. The next time I see them, I bow and I call them sir, maybe master. I lose to them 3 times. I move to their country and I start carrying their bags to practice because basically I'm their bag boy. You lose to him 4 times, you got to move to his house and you're his personal valet and servant because that's my rule. And I've got a story where I tell that to my athletes. So when's he moving?
Well, it's funny because actually somebody on the internet said something like, "Oh man, I think Enrique's, CJ's kryptonite," and then someone that responded, "Well, the matches have been close." I'm like, "Close smokes, whatever. It
Yeah.
is his kryptonite. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but when you run off 4 or 5 straight, I'm not sure what it is. Like,
Man,
someone's got your number."
I think Diego is Garrett's kryptonite. Like it's a coaching flaw. If we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about it. I mean, I think obviously I know Enrique is super talented. He's a great guy. He fights well. He's the world champion, but you should have a formidable person on the other side. And like I said, I've seen many matches where I think CJ should have the advantage and we give it away. It goes away. Something changes between the first, second, and third round. If it's not coaching, then what is? You can't, again, I know we can blame the athlete as a fighter, before I know it always falls on us. I think it should always fall on us. You know, we can say preparation, we can say coaches, we can say this, but like the reality is, it's got to be a coaching flaw. Don't it's got to be deeper than that. We're going 0 and 4 at this point. We're dropping matches that I think who won the first? They went 3 rounds, correct?
It did go 3 rounds.
Who won the first round? Remind me. Sorry. Do you remember?
Oh my gosh, did Hike win the first round? I think Hike won the first round.
Did win the first
Okay.
round. I
Okay.
watched the
Okay.
fight.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
was like
I,
watching. It was like, you know. It was like watching a. It was like watching a skilled competitor handle somebody who was fledgling and had a bad coach. Like, I mean that in the nicest way. And so when you manage a match like that, you let the other person do what they do, and then you figure them out, and then you just handle them. You don't expend any extra energy. You just take them to
oh,
school. And the reason you do that is because you got to fight him again. So you don't give him any more of a beating than you need to, so that at the point where you beat somebody 3, 4, 5 times and the other person can't get back past you, that rarely changes unless you get
it's
lucky.
a weird,
And
it's a weird thing because it's got to be it's either a matchup thing or a coaching thing. Like I said, we've seen CJ go do and win G2 Opens in other parts of the world, right? Without his coach,
his coach
without his
sucks.
coach,
No.
without his
Let
coach
me
in the
say it
chair,
plainly.
without someone that
His
doesn't speak
coach
English in the
sucks.
chair.
His coach is his problem. His coach is the guy cheering him on, cheerleading him, TikToking, wick walking him. I'm going to tell you now, the most views on his TikTok is Garrett Brown. Garrett Brown is on his jock, as we used to say back in the day, so badly that he smells it when he sleeps. So,
Yeah,
I mean, just to be clear, his problem is his coach.
yeah.
You say what you want about it.
Both of you guys said something in unprovoked, or I didn't say nothing. It's funny you said that, Young, about you thought that he was just doing enough to win. His emotional intelligence is interesting because the coach told me, you know, I know CJ wanted to get into a big match, a big demonstration, and jumping in crazy, but and Hike said no. I only give him what I need. Only score the point and stop. Don't do more. And it's funny because you're right, TJ. To your point, it's a coaching. It was like he didn't. The coach didn't allow Enrique to expose himself any more than he needed to. Think about it. You could say what you want, and I could have flipped this script at the U.S. Open, but there was a huge crowd there for Enrique, like huge, Young. And every match he fought, people were there. They all wanted a show. They all wanted him to do stuff. He could have easily fell into the mix and just try to get out of his game plan. But his emotional intelligence, like you said, is unbelievable. He's just so calm, when everyone's watching him. He's so calm when everybody expects him to do something big, and he just gets the job done. And at the end of the day, what do we always talk about? It's winning, right? He's winning. Nobody,
Yeah,
I mean, there's some style points, but he's winning.
there's no style points happen on accident. Style points happen as the match develops. We're not out there trying to hit big shot after big shot because we want everyone to think it's cool. I watch so many edits of so many different matches, not just their match, but so many different matches, and it makes these the people on one side look like rock stars and they're doing all this great stuff, and you're looking at the end of the match and it's a L. You lost. Like it doesn't make any sense. But and these are media outlets doing this. You know what I mean? These are people that are trying to get followers, putting that out there. So go look at this person doing this, so you follow my platform more. It's silly for me. I can't get behind it. I hate it. I mean, I get back to my hotel room the next 3 days and I see highlight reels of people that didn't win. I
That's
get it. I
crazy.
know I know I know there's you gotta support yourself, you gotta put yourself out there, you gotta do this thing. We're in that social media era, but like, dude, I'm sick of it. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. It just makes no sense to me, you know? Yeah, that stuff used to be reserved for the winners. That stuff used to be reserved for big good moments. I mean, we got highlight reels from the quarterfinals. Like, what are we talking about? You know? It's
I'm gonna
it's
say
it's
this
it's pure
something along
silliness.
those lines too,
I'll
and I'm
tell
not.
you, I saw an interesting highlight reel, just so you can understand. It was a highlight reel of an individual fighting Brazil, where he won. So I had to watch it again, and then I realized it wasn't the gold medal match. It was a earlier match of a player who lost a gold medal to Brazil, a player named CJ who lost, and this is how deep he's digging. Like he's got Brazil so badly in his testicles that he can't get out of it. And so like he posted a match of him, by the way, fighting a close match against a guy from Brazil,
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
and
but
he
it's not
almost
even.
lost that
But it's
one
not
too.
even
And I'm
just
like,
him. It's not even
really?
just him. It's everyone else. Like I said, it's these media outlets. It's the reposting of it. And I get it. Like, they gotta do promotions for our sport. They trying to make our sport better. And like CJ's an exciting guy to follow, and I get that. But you're right. The story. If you don't know any better, you think we had a rock star performance across the board. You think that again. I don't care what people think anymore. I've lost that ability in my mind. I mean, dude, we went out there and we had lackluster performances. Like you're saying, you got when we talk about Brazil, we're talking about how many multiple divisions had two Brazilians in the finals. That means their A guy and their B guy got through, or their A guy and their C guy got through into a finals where there's the national team and wild cards. We can't be in a good place right now. It makes no sense. You
And
got people who won the Pan Am Championships last year or a year now, whenever it was ago, not getting back to the finals this year. I just don't understand. Something's got to be. I mean, no. And again, we come on this like almost every week, and we always try to shy away because I think we all can go. It's not the athletes. I had so many conversations. I can't keep saying as a like I said, as a former athlete and a fighter, I know we got to hang it on our heads, but something's got to be going on. It's gotta be what they're doing every single day, or what methodologies or thought process they're taking into some of these matches against the people that they're fighting that they see often in this region. You
it's
know,
it was pretty evident that uh, there's a I don't know if it's a dip in preparation, dip in focus, dip in belief. Something is off. Something is off for them. For to have that kind of performance and all their big stars. They're 68, 72, and 80 all lost. Not one of them got through. You know, I kudos kudos to Faith Dillon. She's been fighting extremely well. We've talked very highly about her on this podcast. Um, Her development, she beat a tough fighter in Skylar Park. We know Skylar is good, and Faith and her fought a 3-round match, but Faith looked pretty solid, sharp, in control, not stressed. The opposite of what I just said. There was no dip in her focus. There was no dip in her intensity. There's no dip in her strategy. It was very calm. Like I'm not sure why the rest of the guys don't have that. I mean, it's something is weird to me. And you said it. We kind of skipped over getting back to CJ and Hike. Listen, they know exactly how to fight CJ. Diego knows exactly how to fight CJ, and Hike could probably do it by himself now too because they've done it so many times. He still obviously needs the coach to guide him and and press him in the right direction. But I love that when they said CJ wanted to fight, but we just managed the match. We just managed the tempo. And I'm like,
Yeah, of course
brilliant,
of course he wants to
brilliant.
fight. He wants to fight because he wants some magic. He wants a
Hail
mystery,
Mary.
a Hail Mary, and it ain't happening, right? So
Yeah,
like, like the guy who's losing, of course he wants to fight. I
right.
I I I got to be honest, this guy fights um he fights a lot more than I would have fought. I didn't fight guys I beat regularly. I fought guys that
But
I.
but Young, and I understand. First of all, different era, but you were also a different athlete at a different stage of your life. What I appreciate about Hike is that boy don't dodge a fight. Like he don't, you know what
No,
I'm saying?
no,
Like he
he's
don't,
at his stage. He needs to fight all the fights that he can
and he
to
is.
set the stage, and he's doing the right thing. So I'm not
Yeah,
saying that, I'm not judging him. I'm just simply saying you're right. At the stage I was at, I had no interest in fighting guys because I was fighting guys that were good, and I was fighting guys that were capable of beating me if I had a bad day, and I was fighting guys, that I respected. And so as a result of that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to give these guys any more bites at the apple to try to get to me.
CJ
And
or CJ, TJ. Before we move on, anybody that surprised you or anything that surprised you at the Pan Am Seniors? Any
Uh,
coach, any athlete, not coach, but any athlete, any team.
I Before I go too far, I know we talked about the guys side, but our girls side for the United States, I think we're missing a 62, a 67. Was it 62, 67 for
62 supposedly didn't
62?
make weight. Make weight?
She wasn't there, so I don't like. Was she there? I didn't see her. So if
No,
she was there, like
no.
so don't
They didn't let
say
her come.
the. Let's not say didn't make weight. Let's say
That's
didn't
true.
show up. Like it's not like she got on a scale and it failed or we were close. So
Yeah.
if she wasn't close, how long wasn't she close? And I can't blame this on anybody else but the academy because she's in your room every single day. So if she's in your room every single day and you see this girl has no ability to make 62 for this competition, why are we not contacting our other 62? We have, I think the girl that got second was Danica Deaton, who is pretty freaking talented. And even if she wasn't, she spends her money and her time doing this sport and deserves to be at the Pan Am Championship if the person that won the trials can't make the weight. And our national team system knew that this girl was not coming and could not make the weight. And they have an obligation that they should contact this girl and we should fill that spot. Why are we showing up without a 62 and not our top 67? Again, again.
Listen, on the 62, I agree with you 100%. She's in their room with the national team and at the academy. They should, if she's not, they thought that she couldn't make it so bad they didn't put her on the plane. They should have been calling somebody, be on standby, blah 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 blah. So that's ridiculous. The 67, that's the biggest question in the room because she was not even on the list. She didn't show up. We didn't see her at the U.S. Open. Who knows
You know
what's
what's
going on?
but you know what's concerning is
What's
that
that?
we've seen this story before. We've seen this weight story before. We've seen this.
Always.
We've seen this weight story before. And we've seen this weight story. Not only before. I mean, years and years and years this has happened, and mostly everyone up there has somehow, some way, always had a weight issue. And then you blame it on, that you were in Colorado with not all the nutrition. Now you're at the USOPC where you're supposed to have strength and conditioning, and you're supposed to have nutrition. All these things that you tell everyone you have, and we're still making that mistake. Something's not right. And then
It's crazy.
I've seen this other story where our top people, our 67, our Olympians, somehow, some way, are MIA, go away, are confused, in between, not there. I can't make it make sense. Like it's almost I for the first time probably am sad. I know we talk about we get on here and we talk about Brazil and their success because it's happening live in front of our faces and it can't be denied. They're so much more dominant than this part of the world. It's ridiculous to the point where it's a sad weekend for me. I'm watching this shit and it's just not it's just silly. You want to know the surprising part? I watch a kid struggle. I watched this our 74 kid kind of struggle through his first match a little bit. And this is just my analysis. It wasn't an easy match, and I know we have rough matches. Then I watch his dad fill in for a tougher match and have success. Have success. He got this kid back to where he was going. I'm seeing this kid
Saw that.
start using his back leg, start hitting big shots, start spinning, start being himself. And then the semifinals comes and we put Lambden back in the chair. You make it make sense to me. What are we doing? You made this guy part of our coaching staff. Why? Who? And again, I blame the coaches. I blame the coaches. I blame those coaches, and I blame the coaches with these wild card athletes. Don't tell me don't tell me it makes sense for wild cards that have to be coached by our national team in every situation. It doesn't make sense. Like this wild card thing started a while back to not circumvent the national team, but give people another way to get to a championship outside of the national team system. And now we've taken that and put everyone around. We put people in their chairs that don't know nothing about these kids. They don't know anything
Yeah.
about them. They don't care about their success. They don't care. Don't tell me they care. They can't care. You can't be that invested because you don't know them.
So why at the World Championships
I'm gonna try.
do
I gotta
they
try to
not
look
want
like TJ.
when they don't want to coach him? You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden here they want to coach him. That's crazy, right? You see what I'm getting at? You know, I
It's
don't know what's
all
going
about
on.
it's all about optics.
Coach
It's
Moreno, you're
it's all
doing it
about
again.
optics.
Do not look at the flower, look at the seed. You must
There's no
stop
more
it. Don't look
seeds,
at the finger pointing at the moon. You must look at
but
the
we're not even
finger
planting.
pointing at the anus. Go ahead.
Let
We're
me
not
see
even
something.
planting seeds
Let me
anymore.
see something.
But
46 no medal, 49 no medal, and had the Pan Am champion last time in 49. 53, you had a U.S.
bronze.
athlete that trains in Spain that doesn't train in the United States at all, so nobody can take there. 57 won. 62, we didn't have anybody. 67, we didn't have anybody. 73, we didn't have
She had,
anybody.
I think she was injured, so she wasn't there. Our 73
Okay,
wasn't there.
where was the B team?
I don't know. I got no answer
And
for you.
then and 80 or plus 73, we had a Hannah Keck got a bronze medal.
And for all y'all want to talk about history, our girls used to run the Pan Am region. Let's be
Well,
honest.
not recently,
We had
but
a not recently. This was a post going back about 10 years that
yeah.
we were
Oh
someone that
yeah.
wanted to post and have these stupid arguments about and pretend like one person worse than the other because we care about one country for real and the other country we work in right now, so we can't say what we really feel. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
kind of make it flip floppy and kind of sideways, but the reality is it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Our girls were way stronger in the Pan Am region, and
Uh,
when you look at the setup now of the amount of funding these kids are getting and the amount of funding this team is getting, we should be more dominant in this country in this region for sure. Stop it.
Listen, USA is definitely they haven't even plateaued. They've kind of dropped. And
It's
what's
just
scary
boring.
is
It's
what's
boring
coming
and it's
behind
flat.
them. And in the opposite, you have countries like some of these other South and Central American countries are getting better. Of course, Brazil's getting better. I mean, I want to talk about the juniors, and cadets in a second, but I mean, it's a little sad for what's happening in this country right now because it's supposed to be better and it's not. It's not. And our big guns came out to fight, and they were all unsuccessful, and that's not good.
So
And then
there's
when you
no,
look at the
but you guys know this already, and like we keep kind of circling the drain on this one, but I'll say it just so it's said. And I don't have a dog in the race, an athlete in the race, because to be honest, I wouldn't even know what to do with an athlete in this race. But what I will say is the following, which is important to be said: the all of us have seen great athletes be undercoached and not succeed as a result of it. So we've all been around when we've watched really good athletes who had a lot of potential either be poorly coached, not have a good coach, or be mismanaged by someone in their orbit. And those athletes, had they had better coaching, they would have been great athletes. I can say this, at least about one of the athletes that I've seen, that's athletic. And I know we have a mutual friend, I won't mention his name, that was one of the best athletes we ever saw. I mean, physically, jumping, flying, gymnastics, whatever you wanted, and confidence out the yin yang. But he was miscoached. Some of it was internal. He wasn't mature enough, and he never performed at the level he could have performed. And so, in this particular situation, there's at least one athlete that's in the pool right now that's miscoached, misadvised, and doesn't have a guiding force or a guiding light in his life to tell him what he should be focused on, which is training and winning and not tick-tocking and wick-walking. And so that particular athlete, he will suffer for that. And he may never, ever reach where he should reach because there's no shortage of those athletes in the United States. By the way, in the world, you could probably go to Korea and talk to coaches and say, oh, there was this kid that was really amazing, but he was just poorly coached or didn't get the right counseling. So Mike Tyson without Cus D'Amato never happens. He doesn't
yeah,
happen. Yeah.
I mean, listen, to your point, it's a little self-serving. I'll
Yeah.
preface this little statement. Look, I coached a bunch of three women. One is coming back from a knee surgery. One is coming back from a shin surgery that's fought 3 tournaments this year and lost every tournament, I think 2 times her first match. And I coached all 3 of them to the finals. 2 of them got gold and 1 got silver. We dropped the final. But like, I'm going to go just the, in what you guys are saying, it was just coaching, right? It was just getting these guys in the right direction. I mean, do they have talent? Yeah, they had some talent, but it wasn't evident recently. None of them. None of them had that kind of success. And now they're all getting to the finals. Like, that's just about putting people in the right position at the right time and being there for them. Like, if I could do that with those people, why can't other people do? Well, maybe they can't coach. Maybe they can't get the best out of those athletes. And
But this
and
is
I have every reason to not get out. I don't speak the language for some of them that don't speak perfectly. I have to speak, Portuguese and Spanish. Some of them I don't train with on a regular basis. So, like in a strange way, I have every reason not to get through to them and not to get them into the finals, but yet we did. That's strange, you
But
know.
it's all scripted. I mean, like look at our 68 division in the quarterfinals where we have the national team head coach and another national team coach coaching the two guys. And Calfani has worked with this guy Gareth for a very long time, and I'm going to say this because I took a lot of heat for doing what I was supposed to do in an organization when I worked for them, and the plan was to coach the guys I was coaching at the team trials. I watched this guy coach Michael against him, and all I hear is Garrett's voice, Garrett's voice, Garrett's voice, like full blown coaching in this match. And meanwhile, on the other side, I hear things like "That'll be there," "Yep, that'll be there," sitting in silence. That was the most lopsided coach match I've ever seen in my entire life. And don't tell me that that's not detrimental to see the guy that's our national team head coach and hear his voice telling the other guy that's in the room with you what to do way above the level what you're getting from your side. It's scripted. This is stupid at this point. I think I've said it before. It's embarrassing and it's stupid. And I hope all you are sitting there taking a watch to this. You got a top player in a kid like Calfani, and he's sitting there being undermined by the system and not given the same opportunity in a coaching situation. It doesn't make any sense. You got to do better. Take both. If you want to complain, then take both of them out of the chair. Put someone else in. But it's lopsided. It makes no sense in that situation. And obviously, I have a connection with Michael, and obviously, I have a connection with Calfani. And from where I sat in the ring, and from what I heard, that was a lopsided coach match, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah, they should have had. Listen, those guys train with each other in the same room, and you got the national team coach and the head coach and somebody else. You're right. They should have just said,
Put Nikki,
"We're not going to say."
put Nikki and Lucas in there.
Yeah,
It
you're
doesn't
right.
matter. Do something. Do
Or
something.
just sit there like this. Just sit there. I mean, we've done that before,
Come
but
on.
you're right. That was a
I hope
strange
they're
one.
getting the
That
same
was,
phone calls that I got. You know what I mean? It's silly. It was stupid to watch.
yeah. Well, I like I said, there's one young girl from Canada that kind of stepped up and she beat the girl that I coached in the final. It was close rounds, but she stole the rounds and she won. But she's a young girl. I think I'm not exactly where she's from, but she won the 67. She was a little surprising to me, to be honest with you. That was pretty cool to. I mean, I say cool to see because I can appreciate young people coming up and doing a good job, even though I was on the losing end of it. You know what I'm saying? I can give it up. It's for anyone that thinks that I'm a hater. No, when people do well, I shake their hand and say, "You got me today," or "Yeah, I like what you're doing." And people that aren't doing so well, I don't have a problem saying, "Yeah, you may be a little bit. You may think you're a little bit better than you are." So that's a little crazy. Something weird. I'm not going to say the entity's name because I don't want to give them a platform. But don't you think it was interesting that this media outlet that is all over the U.S. and that's all over local tournaments in Texas had nothing to say and weren't even present at the Pan Am Championships? No, no media, no results,
I heard.
no
Well, I heard.
video.
Yeah, I heard. I heard the leader of that organization had actually had asphyxiation syndrome, which is when you can't breathe because he had his mouth so planted to the jockstrap of the organization and to certain athletes in it that he couldn't breathe anymore. So he had to actually go and have his mouth physically removed from the anus of the organization like the human centipede. This guy's been constantly posting stuff, so maybe he finally got tired of it because it was quid pro quo. It was supposed to happen. And I won't mention the organization because I see their post all the time, and they're the biggest sycophants I've ever seen in my entire life. So maybe it's good they weren't there. Maybe they couldn't afford a ticket to Brazil.
I just thought that was strange for all their media stuff about covering the sport. They didn't cover the biggest event in the region. I thought it was strange, but
Yeah.
there's something I want to talk about before we get talk then the next day because congratulations to you. I know you had a cadet that got a medal, and then you had your under 21 that won a gold. So I think that's pretty cool for you and your
Thank
athlete.
you.
Good job, congratulations. But
Thank you. Thank you.
what do you think about listen, the Pan American Open in Brazil was a regional event. It was Brazil, Chile, Peru, Argentina, and then a few other countries, and of course a lot of Brazilians. Just like the U.S. Open is Mexico, Canada, USA, Puerto Rico. It's a regional event. But what did you think about? Did you? We sat there and watched some matches. What was your take for some of those juniors and cadets that you watched? What did you think?
Thought Only thing I thought about is where's America? That's what I thought. I watched this as, I mean, did our cadets even have an event this year?
They did. Hey, you're not gonna like this. I didn't know this until this weekend. Brazil Federation paid for the cadet and junior team entry fee, hotel, and food. Did not pay for the airfare, but think about how many kids that is. That's 20 of the cadets. That's a
You know,
lot of hotel and food and registration, and
you
the
know what's
para
crazy?
and the Pumse. Shit.
You know what's
But
crazy? I was going to the medal stand
it's a lot.
for one of the events. I forget after the cadet day and the junior day or whatever it was. And I see the big guys from Brazil, a lot of the organization members who I know personally a little bit, but I'm watching them have all these cadet and juniors in the hallway, and they're talking to them like this is their national team, talking to them, giving them feedback, telling them encouragement. They're all clapping, they're all cheering in the hallway. They're all together, and this is like 45, 50 kids all in the hallway just listening to like the feedback and takeaways from this event. And again, I don't speak Portuguese, obviously, but just the feeling and seeing that level of like connectivity. And meanwhile, our cadets didn't have an event. This would have been a perfect prime event for them to be there. Even anyone under 21, this would have been a perfect prime event to come get some matches outside of like the realm of things you do. Even some of our national team members that were there should have been afforded the opportunity to stay and fight one more day because you're already there. Go get some extra work. We do the bare minimum and then cry and complain like we're somebody and we got second best. We got second best for purely numbers. We got second best because the level in the Pan Am region, to be honest, if I'm being real, is not that freaking high when you look over at the Europeans, and it's gross. It's gross. So
TJ, they had a staff for the cadet and for the junior. I was there. I was there on Saturday. I stayed specifically for that.
yeah.
Myself, Diego, and Coach Erickson. We all wear our Brazil stuff. We had a job. We sat down and listened to the coaches and would give them feedback and talk to them because we want to figure out how we can help them develop. And the focus was communication. How do we help them communicate better? What's the structure? What do we do and what are they doing? Like that's what our job was. Of course, to look at people. I saw a badass 63 kid that I like a lot. He fought the junior world champion, to a 7-7 first round. Then he lost the second round pretty clean. But our job was to look for kids, watch how they interact, and more importantly, watch the coaches. That's how it's. That's how you build.
And I
Again,
think
it's not
but
perfect.
the morale part, building the morale of the country, building the connectivity between the bottom, the cadets and juniors to the seniors. These kids look up to these seniors. These kids watch these seniors compete. These kids cheer on these seniors. They see the wins and the losses and the tough moments. And you know what's even more crazy is most of those big guys in Brazil were there on the junior and cadet day watching as
Yes,
well,
I
like
was gonna
and
say that.
encouraging and like cheering for the country. This country loves Taekwondo and it loves its Taekwondo athletes. Like
Yeah,
it's so gross. And I'm not again, Coach Ronald, I love you and I love everything that you've done, and I see how much and how important you are to Brazil, and I see how many things that you've helped implement and guide and like are in the chair and like are a part of it. But it's sad for me as an American coach. It's so freaking sad to watch the difference, to feel the difference. And we're sitting back and watching our kids being given the bare minimum opportunities, not being funded, not being supported, not really being taught the way of what this sport is supposed to look like, what pride in your nation actually feels like. There's none of that. It's all gone. It doesn't
TJ,
exist. And I blame every single one of you guys that have connectivity to the national team program. You're the problem. You're the problem. Nobody else. You're in the room when they send you these emails and they tell you these kids aren't going to be funded. When they tell you what they're going to do with these kids. When they tell you what they're going to do with the national team. When I watch you guys sit back and remove yourself from situations that you know you probably were a better fit for those athletes just because the organization says so. You are the problem and nobody else. Period. That's why. That's why. You guys have a voice. You guys have a say. You guys take your plane ticket, fly over there and coach those guys because it benefits you a little bit because you have guys on the national team. You don't care anything about this country and the development. So stop saying it, stop pretending, stop acting like it matters. You're just in the room because it benefits you. And it's sad to see that to where we gotten to with any of the coaching level in this country. Period. It's your fault.
Wow. I mean, TJ, at the U.S. Open, we could have did the same thing. So, okay, we can make the argument, well, it's in Brazil and they all stayed there. But you know what? They all stayed there. And you're right, the big guys, all in the guys, not all, but like I would say 90% of the national team stayed there for the juniors and cadets to do exactly what you said, to support them, to give them, to talk to them, to give them speeches, to give them high fives, and they build a culture. That's why all those kids were there the day before watching all their superstars fight. We didn't do that in the United States.
They
None of our
paid their
big
way.
guys were
They
there.
paid their way to the U.S. Open. What are we even talking about? They
Yeah.
paid for the
So
entry fee to the U.S. Open.
And so it's funny because the United States had a chance to do that, but the culture is not there. Going back to what you said, the culture is not there at
Because it
all,
requires too
which
much
is
work.
sad. Yeah, and we listen. We built that culture. I say we have built that culture, and it didn't magically appear because it didn't happen 7 years ago, or else Brazil would have always been good. We built this culture into what it is right now. To your point, you're right. Uh, Now that when you know eh, talked about it like that and articulated it like that, you're right, TJ. There's a lot of people in this country that all whisper and don't like this and don't like this and don't like this, but they'll be the first ones to say congratulations, the first one to like, the first one to say amazing things in social media. Like you're part of the problem. Like if you're not really calling them out, and again, you don't have to be an asshole. I'm not expecting people to fight the fight that me and you do and you grab press, right? I don't expect them to fight the fight, but at the same time, stand for something. At the same time, respectfully disagree. At the same time, respectfully voice your opinion that you tell me, that you tell you, that you tell all your little buddies in private. If not, you're part of the problem because you're not fixing it. You're just going along. And I think that's a sad thing because if you can't be a person of character, of true character, then you're not a person of character. That means you're a liar.
Yeah.
You're a liar. Like I said, you could do it respectfully, and you don't have to be like us.
Or just be quiet. How about that?
Or just say less, my boy.
Or
Say
just
less, my
don't say
boys.
anything.
Yeah.
Or
I
just
think
keep
There-
it to
you
yourself.
know, like
How
I
about
don't
that?
expect anybody to fight the fights of everybody in this room.
No.
But, there comes, this has been something I've kind of wrestled with and had to think about a lot. And I think the reality is that you have to think about what your role and your responsibility is. And so there's a couple different levels of this. Number one, the reason I am the way I am in this particular situation is I have sat at those tables, I've sat at the highest tables, and I have talked and done what I needed to do to make things work for the organization. I watched USA Taekwondo, which I sat on its board, what is the thing called? The WT, which I sat on their boards and was the chairman of their committees. And I've watched these guys lose their mission and their statement. And then I dealt with the U.S. Olympic Committee and the Olympic Council of Asia and helped them grow sport. So I have an affirmative obligation since I took the benefit of helping and doing things and took plane tickets and went over the world as a result of Taekwondo. I have an obligation to now, when I see it going astray, address it in a very verbal and public forum. But before that, before I had that obligation, even when I was a young athlete, I had like Coach Moreno and you, I had a justice button. And because of that, as a young athlete, as a coach, as an athlete, I spoke up, as Coach Moreno knows, early on before I was on anything and created chaos and change back then because I felt that was right. I started Taekwondo to become a better person, and in becoming a better person, I felt it was important to maintain an ethics and a moral and a certain stance. And you have to speak out. That's what we do. And one of the guys who used to speak about this all the time was JP Che, right? And he felt that was Taekwondo's thing. You had to be a moral warrior. You had to be an ethical warrior. And people could feel about that particular stance one way or another, and depending on your actions.
Yeah.
The second part comes, though, hold on. Second part becomes with regular people. Regular people who drink from the well of Taekwondo and started it for the same reasons we all started it for. and did it for the same reasons we all started it for, have the same obligation. Now, they don't necessarily have the obligation to be the asshole because that's my obligation, but they definitely have an obligation to speak up when they see wrong or not participate or vote with their dollars. They absolutely do. There's a level in between, though. There's the person who knows more, should do more, and doesn't do anything. And into that category fall many. And the way they get in that category is they keep continuing to take, as you guys have been talking about, they take the perks, they take the plane tickets, and they continue to take them. Jay Warwick, and to name many among that list. And when you have that obligation, you have an obligation larger than most because you've drank from the well, you take from the wellspring, you've picked the fruit from the tree, and when it goes astray, you say nothing and do nothing. In between there, finally, the guys you're talking about is the average listener, the person who's afraid, doesn't want to say anything. You don't want to say anything? Don't say anything. On the same token, don't be clapping people on the back and shaking hands either, because that you can't do.
I'm going to say this, and TJ, you may or may not know this, but I'm going to say this for our viewers. You're right. I know, people can say whatever they want about you, Herb, but I know you since I was 15 years old, and you've always been that guy. When nobody knew you and nobody cared about you, and when you had no clout to where you are right now, you've always, and maybe that's why you have not climbed the ladder the way other people have climbed the ladder, but you sleep good at night. And I will always applaud you for all those things. Listen, I was 20 years old and I boycotted a world championship team because they weren't doing the right thing by bringing the right coaches. And I boycotted. I was the only one. And so I did a lot of these things before it became popular to do. Listen, I don't go on coaches. I wouldn't be on a coaching staff no matter what happens under the circumstances right now. And the people that, like TJ, like you said, the people that are co-signing and high-fiving and doing all that stuff, they're part of the problem. We got to fix this, and it's not something that we've just decided we're going to do recently or lately. It's something that we've done our whole lives. TJ, me and you we gave up money to do what we believe was right on the Olympic in Olympic training. We gave up trips to Europe. We gave up money. We gave up money for training partners to just say, you know what? It's right to stay home. It's wrong to take that money. It's wrong to go over there. It's wrong to bring other people there for this vacation. And we said, we don't need nothing. We literally said, we don't need one filthy penny from you. We paid for our own way. We slept in our hotels. We paid for our own food. We've done that. I boycotted Young Stand Up for Things Forever. You didn't take money at your own, expense. It's crazy then to hear people that lead organizations, to me, question you. What has Herb Perez done? He hasn't done shit for 20 years. He's an old man. I'm like,
These are
that
guys that people
guy
that haven't done shit their whole lives, that aren't
is
coaches,
you
that don't even know
again.
what's going
This
on.
is the guy that I can't stand when people say these things just because they're putting out a few posts right now, or they have tournaments right now, or they get to go to a national team coaching staff because you've been around for the last. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. The last 5 years. Sit down and shut up and say less, because you're part of the problem. You're not the solution. You're part of the problem, and that's why people will never remember your name.
These guys take tickets, go
I
on these
said it.
trips with these juniors, takes tickets and go on trips with these juniors, knowing their tickets are paid for, and know the entire junior team is there not being paid for. Like what? So that means you're more like the staff is more important than the athlete? That makes no
Oh
sense.
yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
that's the most backwards math ever. But none of them say anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they
you
get
seen any
theirs.
posts? You seen any posts? Oh yeah, I think the junior team should be funded. Oh yeah, it's unfortunate. Is it not unfortunate? And you can't tell me it's right. Some of you work on these halfway teams that are funded teams that are paying for athletes to go to Europe and compete, and they're funded, and you're being funded to go over there with them, and you say nothing about the actual people that are making the national team, that have went through the entire system, states,
Yeah,
regionals, nationals, team trials, whatever you want to say, and make the team, get nothing,
that's crazy.
and then we
That's
start
crazy.
pro teams and travel teams, and they're funded, and you're a part of those,
Yeah.
and you say nothing about the kids that are actually
Should be
winning,
funded.
are
Yeah,
in the middle of the mix. Come on, man, stop it,
yeah, that's
stop
crazy.
it, stop it, cut it out. Y'all, it's too much at this point. It's too much, and it's too much coming from people that swear up and down that they care about this country. No, you care about your access, and that's what it comes down to. And it's just interesting that the people like Grandmaster, people like Coach Moreno, all the higher level people in this country that have done things at the Olympic level, that have coached at the Olympic level, that have fought at the Olympic level, somehow, some way, always end up disenfranchised from this organization. You tell me.
It's crazy. And look at all
Everybody?
the Olympians. Yeah, that's a good point,
Everybody.
TJ.
Everybody? You
Yep.
got coaches. You have coaches. I know we were talking about. We'll get to the Europeans hopefully before we run out of time. But you have athletes and coaches even in the Pan Am region showing up to the Pan Am region. A coach from our country, coaching athletes that are from our country for other countries, winning divisions.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
That's
So you,
that's
crazy.
okay.
so you got, and the next thing I'm going to say, because it was something I did like a little deep dive into a thing in my past, and then I realized there was an individual in my life that I won't mention, and I realized that that individual had exited every individual in his life that had achieved more than him. And when I thought about it a little bit, that's USA Taekwondo. They can't have certain people in the room. And the reason they can't have those people in the room is it diminishes them because as soon as you walk in the room, you're the guy that actually is the guy, not the guy next to the guy that could have been the guy. And so that's a really sad state of affairs because I always like to be in rooms where I'm the least accomplished guy in the room. I enjoy friendships with people who have done so much way more than I have and are way smarter and way more successful because that's where I learn and I grow. But in this particular organization's case, I challenge you to find anyone in the organization that's done more than the person that's sitting in the chair. The sole exception to that is the new coach they hire. And you know why he's in a room? Because he can't speak English. So he won't want anything. He can't understand the language enough to get anything. And he's just happy to get the one thing he wants, which is a green card. And I'm not dissing him. You know, he's an opportunist too, as you should be as an athlete. You know, stand on your business, as they say. But at the end of the day, think about that for a minute. You don't have an individual in that room, Olympian, past Olympian, whatever, that has got a performance. And there's a reason, because as soon as we enter the room, people like us, and I don't want to be in that room, by the way, everybody else in that room doesn't matter. Their heads turn to us and not to them. And they know that. So that's just
You
a
know that.
reality. You don't have
TJ,
to.
you're on fire today. TJ,
Yeah.
you're on fire with all these points. And to your point, that's a good. We've seen this weight problem before. The funding has just gone spiraling down. It's just we've seen it before, and you're right.
It's the Twilight Zone.
Every
It's on
every
repeat.
top person gets disenfranchised, from Olympic gold medalist to a world champion to an Olympic medalist. It just seems like they just
Coach, they
keep.
didn't even put us in the record book. They don't.
Well, then
They have a
I didn't.
record book.
I wasn't even talking about us yet. I was just
Yeah,
talking about the
I was
current
saying.
athletes.
I mean, like when you forget your past, you're doomed to repeat your past, right? You forgot your history. You forgot that you stand. I stand on the shoulders of John Holloway and guys that fought in the original old G, regardless of their outcomes and their medal count. Mike Warren, John Holloway, Greg Fears, cats like this, Sonny Graff on the women's side. They did the dance back in the day when they didn't even understand Taekwondo. They were doing karate. And they were doing karate against Koreans that were doing better karate. And they fought the battles and they fought without chest protectors and
Meanwhile, we're doing
headgears.
karate now.
Yeah, and I went back to karate, bad karate. But the reality is that I recognize and respect them. Scott Rohr, John Lee, right? Naeem Hassan. The list goes on of guys who without them, there wouldn't be a me because I wouldn't have anything to think about. Now, I didn't forget them. I knew their names before I stepped in the arena. I respected them. I knew their records before I even stepped into the arena. And if I see them, I had the good fortune to see Mike Warren at the Black Belt Hall of Fame thing. And I walked up to him and I was like, sir, I've always wanted to meet you. And he's like, Herb, I know. And we had this great conversation that I'll never forget because this guy was a legend. He was the guy that beat Korea and they wouldn't let the Korean said he beat him. The crowd booed when the Korean raised his hands. That's back when the Koreans were cheating so badly. They cheated so bad. They didn't care. I don't even think they watched the match. They just raised a hand. So you got to remember who put you in a place where you have the stuff you have. Now, if you forget that, whether it's your parents, your whatever, then you're doomed to repeat the failures of the past. So anyway, enough of that nonsense.
I, I it was a sad, like, again, I don't mean to sound dramatic. I know most people think I am dramatic. I can be slightly dramatic, especially when it's stuff that I care about. But it was a sad weekend for us in America, watching that Pan Am region and just watching and then having. And I stayed for the cadets and I stayed for the under 21 and seeing us being just like underrepresented in a situation where it's a good opportunity to grow and fight and get some matches and be in the room with these kids that like I mean you've seen we talk about Enrique and all these guys starting from when they were younger all the way through. Some of these kids in the room are going to be what's next. Why are our
Oh
kids
yeah.
not in the room? Why are our
But
kids not
can
being
I ask
told
you
to be in
both
a
a
room?
question? And this is like kind of old school mentality, right? So, and I have this conversation with my son about soccer. If you want to be the best at anything, you want to be great, that's a different path than being good at something. If you want to be great, you got to first be the best person in the room. You then got to be the best person in the dojo. Then you got to be the best person in the city. Then you got to be the best person in the state. Then you obviously have to be the best person in your country. The very next step, just so we're all very clear, is the Pan Am region. You got to
100%.
be the best. Now, you shouldn't even be thinking about the Olympics. You shouldn't, that word shouldn't be escaping your mouth unless you're the best person in the Pan Am region. Now, the people that are the best in the Pan Am region, Brazil, whatever, they can start thinking about the Olympics. If you can't get out of the Pan Am region, you got to hope for a good draw. I didn't think like that. The Pan Am region for me was a regional was like the state championship. I didn't expect to lose the Pan Am. I expected to win it. The only I had one competitor from Canada that was a guy that I would have to be concerned about because he had a lot of experience, gone to a lot of world championships, and he was a good fighter. Other than that, I fought at the Pan Ams. I didn't worry about anybody I fought.
It was great.
It was a regional. I worried about the World Championship, the World Cups. That was it. That was it. We didn't. And if we don't get back to the mentality of understanding the steps, and the other guy that reminded me of this was Dr. Kapner. I sent an athlete over to him, and the story's worth 10 seconds, but I send the athlete to him, and the kid walks in, and he goes, so what are your goals? And Kapner asked him, and he goes, oh, I'm going to be world champion. And you're going to be what? Yeah, I'm going to want to be world champion. He goes, have you won the state championships yet? Have you won the national championships? Have you won the Pan Am? First, you got to win. Like you gotta win the first thing first. You're not gonna walk out of your gym. Nobody has, by the way, and become Olympic champion. It doesn't work that way. Well, maybe Coach Moreno. Maybe
Yeah,
Coach
you
Moreno.
said that. Yeah, that was me. TJ, you said that going back to the Grand Prix challenges. Like we got people going to Grand Prix challenges that haven't won a regional open. And Young, to your point, I swear on whatever you need me to swear on. Like in our pre-meeting talk, I was like, listen, this is our home. We are a world power. We have to win this overall championship. We have to win the men's, women's, and the overall championship. It's not like we need to. We have to. Like, and to your point, TJ, your point, Grandmaster, if we can't win this, what the hell are we talking about? How can I go win a Grand Prix or a World Championship or an Olympic medal? Stop. Like, even Nicino won. He's won Pan Am Games multiple times. He's won, World Championship medals multiple times, and he didn't win the Olympics, but he got a bronze medal, and he's a top level person. So I just think that we got to have that kind of stuff, or at least have the pedigree. And right now we're a little short.
I
We're
say
short.
that I've literally going back to my time with my WCAP guys, I would tell them, I'm like, first we got to be the best in our country, obviously, and then any develop, you got to be the best in the region. The goal has to be the best in the region. And I know we're talking about from an overall team standpoint. I never sit here and claim that I won every single medal. I never sit here and claim that I was always the best in the room. I know I was competitive. I know always had a shot to win. I know I was in the mix. And where we are now, it makes no sense. We're looking past this because when we first started this whole thing, when they first came in, remember the Pan Am chips wasn't important. It was so easy that it wasn't important. It was irrelevant to the
That's
rest
what
of
they
the world.
said.
That's what they
That's what they
said.
said.
That's what they
That's what
said.
they said.
That's what they said. And now we've so far skipped that these countries have been able to build themselves up in this country. We're losing big divisions. We're losing big divisions. We're losing situations where our athletes should be better than they are. I'm sorry. I don't care. I like I said, Coach Reno, I love you. And all the things that you're doing with Brazil, but for the amount of money that we're spending, for the amount of support that these kids are getting, for the amount of traveling and training that they're doing, we should be better. When our generation and when I was fighting, we didn't have all this money. We got our
Nope.
Grand Prix paid for. I got very little shots at most of these international guys. Every time I went to get a shot at them, it was mostly at the big show. It was at the
TJ,
one
but
that mattered.
you got that medal, you got that funding when you were ranked in the top 32. You got that when you
Yep,
were an Olympic level athlete, an Olympic
yep,
medalist. Not
yep.
before. Not
Nope,
this. We're going to pay you
nope,
to see. We're going to pay you to
nope,
come to the academy, give you a stipend, take you on all these trips. Like you didn't have any of that.
nope.
Like they've got way more now.
So yeah, so in
Again,
comparison, for to answer the question, and someone asked me, what do I expect? I expect for us to be better from the amount of money and budget that we're spending, for the amount of time that they have put into quote unquote these kids and went here and this Grand Prix challenge and this Grand Prix challenge and this and this and this and this and all this training and all these hooplas and things that we're jumping through and doing. I expect us to be the best in the region, is what I expect. I expect America to be better than every single other country in the room,
I
and
think
we're
it's
not.
just,
you
We're
but I
not
think
even
it's,
close.
I think it's simpler than that, and that's why I like Don Lewis, is that if that's his name. Um, yeah, it's just a numbers thing. So if you take the population of the United States, and then you take the amount of people that do our sport, and you look at those numbers, and you look at the amount of money we spend, we should absolutely have better results. That it's an investment thing. It's either you're misusing the money, you have the wrong people in charge, or you have the wrong coaches. Because we have the talent, we have the body type, we have the nutrition, we have the education, we have parents with the ways and means, we have people in the pipeline that aren't performing. So that's the system's broken. It's not like we don't have raw talent. It's not, we excel in a variety of other sports. We excel at the Olympics. So the question then becomes, what's the problem? Where's the breakdown? Because we don't have an excuse. In a country of 330 million people, we have no excuse not to be competitive in this sport, especially when we were historically competitive in it with less athletic people. So at the end of the day, there's no question as to where we should be. And why people don't see that problem. There's no reason to make an excuse. When you go from being the top in your regional Olympic committee, the Pan Am, to being not the top in that, that's a problem. When you go to expecting to hopefully make a podium and celebrating 32nd placed and 42nd placed and whatever, where you hope to, there are countries that have never won a medal in anything. We're not that country. We had a history of winning. We're not winning anymore.
but you know what? I'm going to say this too. Like maybe this is a good transition into the Europeans. We've you alluded to it, TJ. We've lost talent. We've had American kids that have, backgrounds in other countries, and they've decided to go fight for those countries, and their coaches have followed them. I mean, you think about that. Like we had this, JC Bassett. She's fighting for Costa Rica. She could have easily been the United States person. Easily. We have Selena. I'm sorry, Selena. Uh, Camila Salim just won the European. She beat the current world champion. She beat the current world champion. You want to know the score? The first round was 15-2. She gave two come downs. And the second round, when I saw it, it was 22-5. Think about that. She's not beating a world championship. She's whooping that chick's ass. That girl's from Turkey. She can fight. She's good. And Camila goes and waxes her like that. These are the kind of people, Ava Lee, who wins almost everything in the Pan Am region. Allison, who fights for an African country. We have other boys that fight for Sierra Leone that are talented, that could have been in our pipeline. We have people that fight in Puerto Rico that should be in our pipeline. We have people that go to Mexico that could be in our pipeline, in Cuba, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on. And that mass exodus has happened recent. There's always been a few here. I'm not saying that there hasn't been. We go back to Greg Tubbs' kids. They fought for Cambodia, back in the day. And you know what?
Watching, you know what
Going
I'm
back
worse? You know what's even worse? What's even worse? I'm watching it. So you're talking about seniors transitioning. I'm watching children switch countries,
juniors, you're right.
juniors switch
There's a bunch in
countries.
Miami. Whole bunch in
I'm
Miami.
watching kids at the bottom leave our country and go somewhere else.
They're
But
going to Jamaica. They're going to.
but again, and then you look at the top level. Like I said, I'm gonna keep harping on this for a second, and now we can switch to the Europeans. But they're putting a stranglehold on any kind of development. You have a 62 girl in your room that didn't show up, and you didn't call the number two because you didn't care to, like because what? She don't deserve a shot? Tell me, tell me. I need an answer for stuff like that. Why? We have all this
That's the
talent, all these people, but
Bears.
they're choking our system. Our kids are leaving the country. Forget the seniors. Forget
Yeah,
it
you're
all.
right.
Our kids are leaving the country and going to fight for other places, and these coaches are doing it. So all these coaches that are allowing them to do it is either one or two things: either they don't believe in the system, or they're just so selfish that they want access to these events that they're willing to let these kids leave a system that maybe they could develop in. But I'm gonna go on the ladder and say, A, they don't believe in the system, and B, the system doesn't work for them, and that's why they're leaving. So
I was going to say,
right? Am I
yeah.
wrong?
No, I think they're just like, you know what? We don't believe in it, and we'd rather go and fund ourselves in many cases,
They're
since we
already
got to
doing it
fund
anyways.
ourselves here. Yeah, and we can stick with them and we can help them in their development. And if they go somewhere, they go somewhere, but at least we feel good about our decision. And that's listen, I mean, I go back to a podcast I did a while back. I know nothing is perfect. I know it's a difficult thing, but and we can compare this era to that era, these athletes to that athletes. But the truth of the matter is, like you said, they choked the system. It's spiraling out of control. And I don't know, like it's a sad place, And this last tournament, the juniors, and it it was not good for us over here. It's not a good feeling. Like I said, I know I'm lucky. You're right, TJ. I work for another country and I got things going in the right direction. I've got leadership that believes in me and trusts me. I'm working on my next camp. I mean, it's amazing. You should see the stuff we worked on today. And I'm just so excited about it. And I think I know the athletes are, and the people have a sense of hope. You saw it. I wasn't even standing there with you. You saw it in those kids in the hall. You saw it in those kids in the stands. You saw it, those kids cheering. You saw those people staying around. You just saw it in a snapshot, and that's all you need to see to know it's going in the right direction. And
It's
meanwhile, we have this mass exodus.
literally people walking away from the system and just choosing not to be a part. But also, like I said, there's only one group of people to blame, and that's anyone who has access to these people that are making these decisions. Anyone who has access to these teams where we're going on and getting our trips paid for, and like coaching kids that are unfunded. And being in chairs that we probably shouldn't be in, and allowing people to be on the staff and pay their own way, and not letting them coach their kids who probably have a better shot. It is the most ridiculous thing ever. Don't tell me our national team coach that you've chosen are better than some of these home coaches that should be with our guys. Don't tell me that these kids are in a better situation hearing something differently. Forget who you are, forget what you know. If you hear something from someone every single day the exact same way, and you go to this event and someone's trying to figure you out and you're trying to figure them out, you can't be successful. It's too difficult. It's impossible damn near sometimes. That's one thing in my career I never ever had to deal with. And I got my one shot at the Olympic Games and didn't get a second go at it. And it wasn't the gold medal, but I followed our country's status and made sure we got on the podium. We did that. We made sure that we got the job done. Was it perfect? No. Was it easy? No. Did we make a lot of tough decisions? Yes. But we got it done, and that's what the goal is at the end of the day. The scoreboard is the Olympic Games. I understand that, but we did everything to get to the point where we had a shot at that day. And right now, we're not. And before we go on, like congratulations to all the athletes that did get medals at the Pan Am Championships. I'm not discounting getting third. I'm not discounting getting second.
Right.
I'm not discounting having a decent day. What I'm discounting is the system that got us there, because a lot of you guys deserve a little bit better. A lot of you guys should have went a lot further. A lot of you guys were not in the best situation when you went out there to the ring in front of some of these guys that are with people that know them day in and day out, that are giving them the best information, and the connectivity is there. You weren't getting that. You don't get that. And that's because of the organization, the way it's structured, and that's because people sitting back and letting it happen. So yes, second place isn't good enough. Nobody cares about second place. I'm sorry. Nobody cares about third place. I get it. And especially in this situation when we have all the talent we're talking about, when we can go and do better, when we're keeping people out of events and not sitting number twos, when we have our big 67s not there. Like don't you can't. So congratulations to the athlete that's won. But again, before we go on, it's you guys' fault. All you single coaches, all you guys have access to this room, to these monthly calls and all that stuff. All you guys clapping on the internet and hitting likes and fake cheering Team USA, and then going around the corner and talking to me and talking to this guy, telling them like it's not good enough, it's bad, it's this, they're this way, they're that way. Shut up. I'm over it. Don't talk to me about it no more. You see me? Just say hi. Don't talk about it no more, because it's silly at this point. It's silly, and it's your fault. Your fault. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Now let's kind of just. I mean, the Europeans are going on right now, and we'll just kind of transition from there just for a couple minutes because obviously just the first day that passed. But I just again, I want to give a kudos to Camila Salim and her father, Gergely, and her brothers who are fighting today or tomorrow. Um, Amazing performance. The European champions is difficult. I don't know if you saw the 67 girl from Greece. They have an Iranian coach over there, and the 67 girl is going to be a problem heading into the next year into the Olympic Games. She just beat one of the Martin girls, the two-time world champion. She beat her in the finals over there. So that girl is young and coming up, and she does well on all the systems, whether it's KPMB, Dado, or weight champ. She's putting up wins. So, big kudos to her. I forgot her first name, to be honest with you. And yeah, I mean, the
The Europeans
Europe
look scary. It looks scary.
it's
It
scary,
looks
but
thick.
but Russia's not there,
And Russia's
which
not
is
there.
weird. They're allowed to fight, but I guess they didn't get visas, which that makes that tournament a whole lot less scary, to be honest with you, because everybody knows the Russians are
And
extremely formidable. But yeah, when I look at some of those categories, they're bigger than ours. I mean, they're quite bigger than ours. But I think
but
the
USA still
overall,
gets number two overall ranking, right? Number two team, best team. USA is number
yeah,
two. Like, come on. Think about what you're saying right now. It's absolutely silly. We like, again. I'm sorry. I'm going back to these guys. I just can't get off of it tonight. So
yeah,
when you talk about, this is Grandmaster section. This is when we talk about, I blame WT as well. I got you. I blame PAP too as well. It's a joke. It's a joke. We're feeding the media things that aren't true. Meanwhile, this part of the country is far behind except for the standouts. And right now, the standout is Brazil. Right now, the standout is Brazil. Brazil's leaving this region and going doing things at a world level that we haven't been able to do in this country. So that's the
listen,
reality.
I'm going to go back to the President's Cup last year when I think it was 6 out of 8 male, finals and blah, blah, blah. But think about that, man. We won 50% of the gold medals available. I don't care if you're in Africa, Egypt and these countries are having a hard time doing that. I don't care if you're in Asia, Korea and Iran are not doing that to each other. In Europe, Russia, as good as I just said they are, they're not doing that to everybody. Like in our region, we won 50% of the gold medals and had 5 silvers. That's crazy, bro. That's that's like off the charts. Pretty good. And I don't even know. Can we do better? I think we could probably win 2 more. I think our 57 has a damn good chance of Maria Clara, and I think our 67 could probably do it. You're still here. I see you. So anyway, I mean, we could talk. We're well over an hour right now, so we beat up this panel. But I think it was, first of all, TJ. You made some amazing, amazing points. You articulated them well. You know, I mean, I'll just say, like I said, I don't expect people to fight our fight. I like that post you put today on social media about respect. Like if you respect me and you're gonna go hang with someone that's doesn't respect me or has actually wronged me and act like you can sit there with them and act like it's okay, then I got to question me in your friendship. I got to question, that respect that you have for me. because you must not have that much respect that you're able to go sit in that chair with that person that's, done something personal to me or X, Y, or Z. But like I said, nobody has to fight our fights. But when you go out there and you do all the little claps and you don't speak your mind, then I have to question how much respect I have for you as a person. Because, for all this, trying to, stand up for what's good and what's right and stuff like that, it's a lie. So you made some great points, TJ, and I couldn't agree more. So we'll see what people do. Like I said, people are fickle and yeah, but I'm just trying to do this. Yeah, but I'm just trying to do that. Just do less, or just don't put yourself in there. Because the more you support, or just do what? No, to say like, yeah, yeah.
It is time to wind it down, and I hope you guys listen to the song. We have a beautiful samba samba from the beautiful island country of Brazil. I know it's not an
Island
island,
country.
but it's got the beautiful beach and beautiful women, and it's got the carnival. So I will say that the song was a very unique creation, and it speaks highly. And it wasn't done on TikTok. That's all I'm saying. And we are out.
Brasil na frente, USA atrás. Liga a câmera, pisa no tatame. Olá! Chegamos com ring light, hashtag pra mostrar. 30 filtros no chute, 0 pé pra lutar. O Brasil ouviu o apito e a arena balançou. A gente gravando rios e o ouro já passou. Samba não, samba sim. Brasil dança e o S gira. Meia lua Machado, requebrado também. Desculpa, mas não. Da firma Warehouse 15, meu bem. Olê, olê. As medalhas pegaram táxi pro Rio, pro pódio passaram do nosso laboratório de mídia. Samba não, samba sim. O placar canta o blues. Desculpa, mas não. Da firma Warehouse 15, meu bem. Tinha entrada viral, tinha look combinando. O Brasil deu um chute e o capitão foi pro chão. Postamos abençoados com pôr do sol e coração. Eles postaram pódio limpo do inicial refrão. Samba não, samba sim. Brasil dança e o esse gira. Bandeiro, curica, um chute, um bem bem. Desculpa, mas não. Da firma Warehouse 15, meu bem. Olê, olê. O bronze desceu pra Bahia, a prata pegou voo pra São Paulo com alegria. Samba não, samba sim. O coach leu o jornal sem fé. Desculpa, mas não. Da firma Warehouse 15, meu bem. Coach, cadê a estratégia? Chefe, tá fixada no perfil. E as medalhas? Brasil, Brasil, Brasil. O placar entrou no samba e não perdeu o compasso. Verde e amarelo dançando em volta do nosso fracasso. Vamos editar montagem com som que tá bombando. O Brasil é dito ouro e em junho tá ganhando. Samba não, samba sim. Brasil dança e o S gira. Caipirinha do bloco, um roxo no joelho também. Desculpa, mas não. Da firma